And I want to talk about Russ, and I want to talk about Sean Payton, and I wanna talk about. And this is gonna be real. I'm gonna be quick. I'm not gonna be long winded with this one. But at some point, when somebody infringes on your boundary, you got to come out swinging. And Russell Wilson is usually a glutton for punishment. Usually he's this super passive guy, ultra positive guy, sometimes ultra positive to where it's cringeworthy because even the most polished guy or nice guy has a nasty side to him. But you rarely see that with Russ. Russ is one of these people that he turns the other cheek. He won't say much. If you don't know by now, his wife is Sierra. That is Future, the rapper Future. That's his baby mom, one of his many baby mothers. And Future would always say all this stuff and whatnot to Russ. And every once in a while, Russ would clap back. And I would applaud Russ for, if somebody steps over your boundary and infringes your peace and infringes your reputation, you got to come out. And Brian Clark came out last night or a week, I think the night before, within a 48-hour period, and he really went in on Sean Payton. And I actually agree. I don't agree with everything that Ryan say because sometimes Ryan is this emotional guy, and every little thing bothers him. He overanalyzes or he just puts a spin on certain things. But he made perfectly good sense with what he said, and Sean Payton is wrong for what he said. And I get it that they're professional athletes. They are in a profession that owns several days of the week. It is a billion-dollar entity that people are held to a higher standard. And sometimes you just don't mesh well with each other. And that's what happened. Russ of Seattle is a Hall of Famer, no doubt. Russ in Denver, Russ in New York, I beg to differ. But I don't think he's played himself out the hall. But what I will say is that Sean Payton isn't without spot or blemish. And let me bring everything back up to light. If you recall, back in the day, back in the early part of the 2010s when he was still coaching the Saints, he was heavily involved in the Bounty Gate. And defensive coordinator Greg Williams was made, I won't say he was made the scapegoat because there was equal responsibility on the defensive coordinator and the head coach. But they basically put bounties on star player heads, and at one point it got up to about $50K. And Sean Payton is the last person that should be trying to berate or throw shade or talk about somebody and be disrespectful. And so this is why I think this is paramount for Russ, because he finally decided to grab his balls and be a man. And what I mean by that, in a figurative sense, that sometimes you got to clap back. Sometimes you got to spin the block. Sometimes you got to let people know what's up, right? And it's almost kind of like one of my favorite villains is Detective Alonzo Harris. That was Denzel's character in Training Day, with how he was no nonsense. He got stuff done, even if it was unorthodox, right? He just made things happen. And so sometimes as a person, we all can learn from this particular instance or this situation. When somebody says things about you, and sometimes you got to take the high road, but you know what? Sometimes you got to just meet mano a mano. Sometimes you got to just go for broke and do and say what you feel, because it allows you to release. It allows you to show a nasty side about you. And that creates a standard, that creates or sets a precedent. So people will know how to approach you. So people will understand that they can't run game, they can't treat you or handle you a certain type of way, that you command respect and that you demand respect. And if you cross that boundary, if you infringe on my boundary, well then you know what's gonna happen. I got you. And so all we've just witnessed and what we saw Russ do was basically clap back. And that's the ultimate clap back, right? He's done the same thing with Future. Future will say X number of things and Russ kind of he chill out. And then he'll throw a picture of the son, a future son, raising his son. Now, like it or not, I'm not here to debate or to commend him and say you should be a stepdaddy. That's not what this video is about. This video is about Russ clapping back and finally having the intestinal fortitude to say what he felt. And so I think it reverberates. allowing yourself to be mistreated, and then just going out and doing what you need to do. Now, I think Russ is going to play in the NFL again? I think he's probably relegated to being a backup. I can see him operating in a Joe Flacco mode because I can still see desire. I can still see fire burning in his eyes. And now I don't know if he's going to be successful, but I can see him filling in. For instance, the New York Jets need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. And so he'd be a perfect fit for the Jets at this point. Hell, Jameis Winston might even be worth a look in terms of the Jets because Aaron Glenn is coaching for his job, like it or not, and they have not won a single game this season. So at the end of the day, Sean Payton said what he said. He keeps clapping back or keeps saying things about Russ. Russ took the high road. Russ said no mas. And so shout out to Ryan Clark for also bringing it to light. That's one thing I do agree with him regarding that you got to say what you feel and you got to clap back and you got to stand up for yourself. And so Russ, we're going to give you the ceremonial golf clap. You did a hell of a job. And hopefully this creates a new age for you, a new age of a no-nonsense Russ. So let me know what y'all think. Drop me a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is All Things Considered. This is Bearded Aquarium. See y'all on the next video. I'm out.